The fucking thrilling conclusion of his day. It's not going the worst. What the hell have I been doing? What the hell have I been doing? I don't remember. Let's go. Remember, is doing this. Kill that. 7. Yeah, I remember we went for a walk in the woods. 7. In the labyrinth. Seven. I don't know any of these people kind of in the neighborhood. It's a habit. So the scenery probably looks different than the usual videos because we're walking in a different direction. Mixing things up a little bit. Oh, that's right. That's what I was doing. Nice. I was responding to things on Facebook. I like doing that. I like just writing. Reading things people say and responding to it. And I don't just write like 2-word responses, I write novels. I can't help it. Nor do I really want to help it. It's a thing, like, I don't know, like, I read something, and then something says, say something back. Okay. What do you want me to say? Don't worry about it, just start writing. It'll come out. Kind of like this. But I got some advice in the middle of last week. I'll start using my voice more. So this is like kind of practice. You know, I just had to put fucking the last video I put up. I just posted it in this Facebook group that I didn't want to post it in. But I was like, fuck it, you know what? The idea that I needed to put something into that group, it's a group that I'm in. It's like a... the hell is it anyway? I don't know, it's with Victor Odo and Aaron Dowdy and that other guy, Matt. The other guy. The Business Accelerator course. It's like a beta testing sort of thing, I guess. I think. That's how I understood it. So, that's another thing to do. I think it's for the next 5 days. But one other thing, on the main page, it was like, oh, you get bonus points. It's not a point system, it's sarcasm. You get bonus points if you put a video of yourself instead of just a picture. So I did both. So I'm like, you know what, fuck it. If I'm the business I'm promoting, then I might as well promote me. Or accelerating, right? I think that makes sense. Plus I just like attention. I like attention, and I like when I feel uncomfortable about it. I got this thing where I love feeling uncomfortable. Like this isn't too bad. This is easy. It's easier now, especially with the headphones on. I always walk because I don't drive. Technically, my technically my license is suspended, but that's because I didn't turn my plates in 5 years ago. I didn't realize that was a thing. But I forgot or whatever. It is what it is. After the car broke, I had a car. I used to drive. I didn't like it all the time. But why is there gravestones there? So I gotta think of something to say for an hour. I mean, technically I don't have to. I could just be quiet this whole time. Which would be a funny trick. Especially if people clicked on this expecting to see me say stuff, but then I don't say anything. That would actually be really funny if I put like a really profound, like really like thought-captivating title to this and just walked around and not said anything for an hour and 10 minutes. Why is it funny? Because then whoever's watching it, they'll be watching and be like, all right, when's this dude gonna say something? But he doesn't. But then your subconscious mind is like, all right, just a little bit longer. Just hold on. He's gonna say something any second now. But he doesn't say anything at all. Just silence. It doesn't really bother me. I got my music on. But no, I don't really think that there's any kind of like profound divine mysteries that need to be revealed. It's like I haven't stretched since yesterday. Where are we going? We're going down. Not to nature. Nah, it's a part of the bike path that I sometimes just come down to talk to myself. Not to myself, but I come down to get stuff out. I usually come here alone, but it's kind of curious to see what happens. It's chilly, so I don't know if I'm going to do this for very long. I'm kind of regretting coming outside at all, but I did. What? I don't know, I kind of committed myself to this already, so it's like, I can't really back out of it. That's alright. At least I can say that I didn't not do it. That's the thing. Nah, I don't think I feel like talking about magical things and mystical things. I really don't. I feel like my whole day has been spent doing that. Well, it's a thing. I mean, I can't. When the itch comes on that I have to be like, all right, we have to go into mystical mode. It likes to be exercised, so I let it out. Not so much right now, though. No, actually, right now, what the inside of my head is saying is like, you're wasting your time. What are you doing? Why don't you just go home, dum-dum? I'll make it back there. I feel like I need to think. Well, I got a lot of clutter, and I have to try to organize it as best I can. So, Sunday, it's Mother's Day still, and it's 7 o'clock. Well, I just ate. I did eat dinner with my mom. And I did start cleaning my room. But I have biblical Hebrew class in an hour, which I don't feel like going to. I was gonna watch the video from last week. It's so fucking boring. Oh my god, it's so dreadfully boring. I'm hoping it picks up. Because it's like the guy's not like incredibly enthusiastic, at least from the first class I went through. He wasn't very enthusiastic. He wasn't a rabbi either. I was hoping I was gonna have a rabbi from Israel actually teaching me how to read Hebrew, but I got some other guy named Mike. He says he's got a master's, but his energy level is like, yeah, if I'm tired doing these classes, it's because I got a kid and I gotta do this stuff and that stuff. It's like, ah. So we're gonna have a lively class. See, but I already know Hebrew, that's the thing. Like, I know it my way. My way is not the same as the academic biblical way. And as much as I'm not really married to the idea of using Hebrew like an alphabet, like that, I need to know the sound associations with the letters too. Because Hebrew, you can read it like 5 different ways, at least 5 different ways. So, I know how to read it one way. I know how to read it the visual way. I don't know how to read it the verbal way. I can see the letters and recognize them, for the most part. And I was talking to my sister about this a couple weeks ago. She's like, what are you doing with Hebrew? Like, I don't understand that. Well, it's something I've been doing for 5 years. 5 years and you still can't read it? No. Sorry. I've been having to teach myself how to do it. Why? Well, it's important to me. Why? Because I feel called to it. That's why. And it's one of those things, like, I have to do it. Like, once I get it in my head that I gotta do something, I gotta do it. Which is something I've learned, that, like, when I get the idea that I gotta do something, I gotta do it, because there's always something at the other end of it, you know? Like golf here. And it's just a big field. But I like to go down there and play golf. Because I golf. Do I go play? Do I go play? Yeah, I go play. I haven't gone out to a course in a while. No, golf is fun if you're high. Like if you smoke some pot and then go out to the golf course, that's a lot of fun. It's like therapy. It's like therapy because you have to be in the right mindset to hit the fucking ball. Because if you got a bunch of shit going on in your fucking cranium, like you're just gonna fuck yourself up. you're not going to play as good as you should be able to play. So for a little while, when I first started playing, it was like 2 years ago, I would get high and then go out there. And then I would take advantage of having to focus on the ball to start working on shit inside of myself. Why is this coming up right now? Why is this coming up while I'm trying to hit the ball? Why don't we sit through this and let us see what happens? And you know what? It didn't happen every time, but it happened enough times where I started to pick up on the fact that when I would sit and just let myself like feel through shit, I'd fucking crack that motherfucker all the way down there. Now, I didn't take lessons. I just, I watched. And I was watching this masterclass with Tony Hawk on skateboarding, and they were showing like a video of the mechanics of doing a kickflip, and it clicked something in my head. I'm like, oh, I get it. And then I increased the hell out of my game from it. Skateboarding and fucking golf, because it's smart. I'm about to get really high in a little bit. I took my second gummy for the day about an hour early. Let's say I took my first one an hour early. I'm trying to get myself on a schedule, but like a schedule that I approve of. Because after my whole thing with Hugo Boss, I'm not going to allow myself to go work for anybody again, because if a $2 billion a year corporation is going to hold out fucking money on me, why am I going to put myself through that kind of stress again? Working with some other jabron. So fuck it, I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing until someone decides to give me money. What's the intention? The intention is see, I don't want to work with people. I don't like working with people. I mean, that's not true. I don't mind working with people, but I'd rather be working with entities. Entities are just as wounded as people. Entities are just as wounded as the people that form them. But I don't think that concept's like really gonna be very big for the moment, because I don't think people recognize that entities are living things. But I mean, on the bright side, I mean, I see it that way. And I look at it like this too: is my entity exists in the ethereal realm, which is where all the entities live. So it's only a matter of time till he finds a client on his own. Its own? Their own? Maybe. What's the plan? There's no plan. Never make a plan. The only thing plans are good for is when you when you go through the threshold of when the plan was supposed to start and or end, you look back and go, fuck, the plan that wasn't even the plan. Like, this wasn't the plan. Like 5 years ago, this wasn't the plan. But kind of. No. No, things just have a way of working themselves out. And that's why I realized, like, you know what, fuck plans. Plans are for suckers. It's not true, by the way. It's absolutely not true. They just don't really work for me. I mean, yeah, I can visualize an end result, but it's been my experience that when I visualize an end result, if I do too much to even try to make it happen, like it doesn't happen. That's why the best course of action for me is to kind of consider several different endpoint objectives and then just let the things happen. Let synchronicities and coincidences guide me down the path to get to that thing, which is usually when it works. I have to not do anything. Like even right now, I might be doing too much. You're doing too much. Slow the fuck down. In my head, my inside voice is going, you really don't need to be recording like 3-hour-long videos every single day. Why? Because people don't want to see that. People want short and sweet. It's not my fucking problem. I'm not doing this for other people. If I didn't know some crank out there is going to watch this whole thing. You're not a crank. I'm getting huffy and puffy at my inside voice. Mr. Toxic. Wonder if he's gonna come out. I don't even look at it like, is he gonna come out? Is he not gonna come out? He's always out. He's always out. He's always there. He probably switched back and forth between him and me several times. We're the same thing. It's just Toxic and Derek. It represents the same thing. Me. Tried breathing spit. Yeah, and perfectly honest, I honestly think I'm getting to a point where I'm wearing myself out with this shit. Well, the sun's about to shift into Gemini in a couple days, right? Next week. Well, we got the full moon new moon on Friday. I'm excited to see how that goes. And perfectly honest, this whole week. Well, I mean, it's only been 2 days. We're only 2 days into the week, but I was expecting it to be a little bit more dreadful. It felt like it was starting off that way this morning, but I don't know, doing this kind of cleared me out. This is typically the way that works, right? Still wearing the same shirt? No. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, I obviously don't not have anything to say because even the act of saying I don't have anything to say is saying something. Hello. Oh, right. So there is things to do. So I still have to finish that Gemini project, which I haven't touched. I got to finish this other project where I'm reading my journal entries backwards for the past 3 weeks. I got 2 days out of 21 done. And I probably have about like 4 more, maybe 5 more Gemini journals. I have to do that review for EVE. What else? I got that business accelerator thing this week. That's 5 days. Technically, I haven't been doing it, but on Impact Theory University, I'm doing this 5-week challenge. Rewrite your history. Rewrite your story. Which sounds like a really good idea, except for the fact that, like, I don't know what... I don't know if I want to change my history, change my story. I like my story. But then again, like now that I'm thinking about it, like it might be a good idea just to kind of explore a couple ideas, because I might come up with something that I didn't think of before. Man. Then we have the money abundance ritual with me and Magic. That's done on Friday. We started it on the new moon in Aries. This is a big one. I've never done a group ritual like this before. It's kind of dope. Especially not one this long. But it gave me some ideas, that's for sure. So I want to see how things have evolved from the new moon to the new moon. And then start looking at how to apply that to other areas as well. Because the next one is Gemini, which Gemini is that fucking, the other voice in your head. It's about relationship building, education, travels. Maybe set some intentions with all those things. I like that idea. What would that look like, though? Well, you know, there's this idea that I love twin flames. I do. I think it's the cutest, sweetest idea ever because it makes so much sense. I love that people hate it. But the idea is you have to find it within yourself first. Like my witch teacher, me and Magic taught me. Like you gotta love yourself like you want someone to love you. You gotta take care of yourself like you want someone to take care of you. Because otherwise you ain't gonna get nobody to do shit for you. Love yourself, stroke yourself. I love you. Love you too. It's an hour of Derek making love to himself. Yeah, you make love to yourself until someone comes in and be like, "Hey, can I cut in?" That's how I envision it. I could be wrong, but it's gonna make for a fun experiment. Well, it's making for a fun experiment. And what else? I gotta get paid. I gotta get some. Well, that's the complex part. Because I worked something out with my entity where he's the one that's supposed to be going out and getting all the client work. Because he's like, because the way to look at it is that it's like any other entity. It's an energy vampire. Typically, entities feed off of humans. You know? They upsell you, they convince you that you need things that you may not necessarily need at that moment, but you still do it anyway. So, my entity, I've been training to not survive off human energy, but instead to survive off of entity energy. Meaning, have corporate clientele instead of actual people clientele, because people, what the hell do you want? What good is that? Just trying to suck every fucking dime out of somebody? Fuck that. Give me a place like Hugo Boss and we'll try to suck every dollar out of that motherfucker. I'd rather have Hugo Boss's money than yours, unless you're Hugo Boss and I want your money. All of it. I'm I'm still holding some resentments. It's this shit. Nah, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I was gonna say there's a part of me that kind of wants to fight Hugo. Like actually get into a fight, like a physical altercation, but he's not physical. It's an entity. So the only thing I can do is sick my entity on that entity and say a prayer for Uncle Hugo. I don't know, I'm just kind of bored. That's what these moons are. It's not yeah, it's dreadful because it's boring as fuck. Cause what? Next week is gonna be all over the fucking place. Maybe not in a bad way. Not in a bad way. Where are we going from there? Jim? No. Why can't I ever... Oh, Virgo. A Virgo moon. Yeah, throw away all the other bullshit about Virgo. It's about sovereignty. Heh. For the ducklings. Now the bike trail's got a couple of these little book things. Take a book, give a book. This is boring, then go away. Or sit there. Actually sit there. It's only gonna get more boring. God. Up life. Nah, there really isn't one. I mean, aside from me with myself. I mean, there's a lady, but... I'm not really sure what's going on with that. Which is actually, I was gonna say strange, but I don't know if it's really all that strange. Because I feel like situations like this, they're supposed to go this way. But questions and just like, what the hell is going on? I mean, some days it makes sense, some days it doesn't make sense. Some weeks it makes a shit ton of sense, some weeks it makes like absolutely no sense. Like, what the hell? What was that? What the hell was that? Is this really even happening? But, I don't know, it's like a weird situation shit. It's coming to my mind, but I don't know if I would even... Well, I guess, yeah, it's a situation. I mean, it's not like a life or death situation. It's more like it's like my friend. I mean, this is a good place to explore that. Well, we're friends. That I just happen to have a lot of feelings for. For a while. Well, it was a friend of my brother's. That's how we met. What's up, man? But I was smitten from the moment I met her. Which was good, because at the time I was kind of in like some rough shape. It was right after my It was right after I came down here. It was shortly after I came down here. I used to live about an hour away. Come on, motherfucker. But I remember thinking, like, you know what? There's no way she's ever gonna want me as a boyfriend if I don't get my shit together. And I was already on a mission to get my shit together, but I was just more inspired at this point. Time passed. We'll see each other once in a while. Like literally, like maybe once, twice a year. I mean, granted, I think it got more frequent. Every year was a little bit more frequent. Until about 2 years ago when I finally had the courage to kind of like go. I had an opportunity to give her my number, so I was like, okay, all right, cool. For years I've been pushing out of asking her for her number, but at least I got some experience doing it by giving my number. Then there was a lot of anxiety because I didn't hear from her for about a week. But then I eventually got her number. And then we started talking. And we haven't stopped. That's... As of Friday, count forward 3 weeks and it'll be 2 years to the moon cycle. I'm working on another, well, the other project I'm working on is I'm mapping out my life using moon cycles as time markers. It helps if we can visualize time as more than just a straight line. Like it's a straight line, but it also coils around itself. But those coils overlap each other. So there's points of intersection, right? So every year we know that there's going to be at least one Taurus new moon. But at the same time, because we know that, we also know that because there's at least one Taurus new moon this year, there's going to be at least one Taurus new moon last year, the year before, 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 the year before. And they're all going to generally fall around the same kind of time frame. So rather than gauging time like one full year, like June 10th, that was the day. June 10th to June 10th of the year before to the year before, which I did. I actually did that with my journals to see what similarities there were. But it's more accurate from a natural perspective to go Taurus, new moon, Taurus, new moon, Taurus, new moon. And use the moon as a gauge instead of the Gregorian calendar, because the Gregorian calendar, listen, this shit works like clockwork. But here's the thing, it's not exact. It's off. It's not the lunar cycles or the solar cycles that are off. It's the Gregorian calendar that's off. It needs to be calibrated. Well, it needs to be calibrated and it needs to be updated because 1 month is actually a lunar month. That's where months come from. Did you know that? The 12 months of the year. The reason that they're 28 to 30 days is because of the moon. 31 days, sorry. Because of the moon cycles. It's just that moon cycles, they're a little more complex. They're not static. If you ask anybody, like, how many moon cycles are there in a year? Most people probably couldn't even tell you. Huh? The correct answer is 12. Sometimes. Every third year, there's a leap year. and there's a 13th lunar cycle that's thrown into the mix just to fuck things up. Not to mention that when you gauge lunar phases and lunar cycles over the course of a couple years, I did this. It's in one of my journals, but I tracked the time frame, the window of time for every lunar cycle over the course of like 3 years. And you know what's fucking crazy? There's a pattern. Like it speeds up and then it slows down, and then it speeds up and then it slows down, then it speeds up, and the peak and the decline, they tend to stay within a 0.000, or maybe no, was it 0.10? .10 minutes, something like that. But if you measure it, it has a pattern of incline and declines, and they're consistent too. That's the really fucked up thing. It's like, how the fuck? The Islamic calendar is lunar based. The Islamic calendar and the Chinese calendar are all lunar based. They're based on the cycles of the moons. The month goes from new moon to new moon. Cough is making me nervous. Yeah, me too. But what I'm doing so important that I won't die of cancer. And on top of that, the catalyst that is going to help me not need these anymore should be right around the corner. Maybe. Because I know what it's linked to. Sex. I believe. That's my theory. My theory is that if I become sexually active again in my life, that I won't need to smoke anymore. And if I'm wrong, and that's not going to help, then the cancer is just going to come out of me. I'm not going to have to even think about it. Just, like this coughing. That's my body going, hey, listen, might be time to think about a break. Sometimes I'll do that. I'll stop smoking for 6 months, and then I'll go on for 6 months. This has been going on for a little while, though. I've been smoking since September is when I started smoking again. But I allowed myself to. Because I felt it coming on, and I'm thinking to myself, like, why do I need to, why do I want to smoke again? What happens if I do? Makes me wonder what happens if I didn't. Would things have played out exactly how they have played out if I did smoke? No, because everything that showed up in my life, the way that my life went, from September to now, smoking was the one thing to keep me from fucking, I don't know, losing my fucking mind. Because I had to deal with a whole bunch of people that I didn't want to deal with. I didn't like dealing with. I mean, I did and I didn't. It was just like a lot of stress involved working with Uncle Hugo. It's like, I don't know if you ever worked retail before, but holy shit. Like that's like some work camp level shit right there. You know what it's like? Having one day off out of 21? They're still going on about that. Yeah, that was fucking traumatic. I've never done that in my life. I don't suggest anyone ever do that. This last job I did, we did fucking. I didn't go to work one day. I called out after 9 days. After 9 straight days, I'm like, nah. This ain't gonna fly. And I'm not picking up any phone calls. I'll send a text to the manager on duty, let him know Derek's not coming in today. Do whatever the fuck you want. I don't give a shit because I'm going downstairs and I'm going to have a Bloody Mary. I didn't get all into that because the Bloody Mary didn't really get put into the mix until I already went downstairs. And then I realized that they made Bloody Marys. I'm like, oh man, it's been a while. Might be a day. This might be the right day to indulge. So I went back to my room, and I hung out in there for a little bit. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Get your ass up and go get that Bloody Mary. I don't give a fuck if it's 8 o'clock in the morning or what. I had my first 8 o'clock Bloody Mary in a while. It's amazing. Would definitely do that again. Nah, but you see, like, even before that, the one job I did with them, where it was, I had 1 day off in 21 days, that wasn't it. Like, I think there was another stretch of having 2 days off in 14. There was at least 1 to 2. I was there for 4 months. There was at least 1 to 2 14 days straight. 2 instances. I mean, granted, I volunteered because there was nobody else that could do it like I can. Plus, there was nobody else. It's a good thing I did every fucking time too. I felt if my stomach would start tingling and going, I don't know about this. I think you might need to stay an extra day. Fuck it. But something's about to happen, and every fucking time. Every fucking time it was one of those, oh thank fucking God I did that. Which is not exactly something you can quantify to people. Because it's one of those things like, you had to be there. But because I was there, I got to see it firsthand. But I also didn't have any oversight whatsoever. So it's like, it's trying to prove color to a blind person. Because then you just end up looking like an asshole. Nah. Maybe I think it's dual assholery because it's like, well, it's not my fault that you didn't understand what I was saying. It's just that you didn't take the time to formulate the right questions to ask. Not that you didn't ask questions. You were asking questions, yeah, no doubt. Like, I acknowledge that 100%. You definitely were asking questions. And I'm talking to my former regional. Like, you asked me, you definitely asked me questions. But now, if you were to ask me, Derek, did I ask you the right questions? No. Why didn't you bring it up? I'm not good in the mornings. And I had my own venting system. I had my journals. Don't stress, don't stress, don't stress. Don't want Derek to stress. Then why the fuck is everybody stressing me out? I don't understand it. Like, is this a game? There was a couple times where I thought it was scripted. Because I'm thinking to myself, how is this all happening like this? Why is this happening like this? Is this like, am I getting punked? Like, what the fuck? But as it turned out, I shortly there found out that, and this isn't going to make sense to everybody, but it makes sense to me because I can see it. I can see why it works. Is that Mars was retrograde in Gemini in my 10th house, which is work, career. So it makes sense why I would have to go through that, because that's literally exactly what that's saying. Is that the situation I went through is the situation I was going to go through. And then this last job I did, it just happened to be that Venus was going through the exact that window of time, the window of geocentric time. At the exact same point that I was going through the last thing, which only lasted 2 weeks. But if not for the fact that I took the 1 day off, I would have done 14 days straight. My homie, he was down there. He did 16 days or 15. He had 2 more than me because he ended the day that I called out. We're not supposed to open the store if there's only one person, and that wasn't the initial idea. But as I was rationalizing everything in my head, I went, well, you know what? At least if anything, the store's gonna have to stay shut down today because fuck you. This fucking dude needs a day off. No, I had a fucking ballistic fit. He took it like a champ. But that was my hobby. That was a learning experience. I was going to school. That's what that was. That was just me dropping out of school or getting kicked out of school. Because I saw working with Hugo Boss as an educational experience. That's literally why I went there. Well, that and my friend, she works at this other store that I wanted to work at because I wanted to work with her because that's where I met her. I'd rather work with her than anybody else. I don't really like people. But then as things progress, I saw all these opportunities pop up that I wanted to have happen, and I'm like, I'd be crazy to pass this up. You're gonna pay me to travel? And then pay for all my expenses? Hell yeah, I get an expense account? What? That's so cool. After just 2 months of working there, I pulled that off. I had that planned out. I literally had that planned out too. Well, I mean, I had set the intention that I would do that. But I mean, once it was happening and I looked around, I'm like, holy shit, I'm there. I did it. Because I've been wanting to work there for 4 years. This was even before I met my friend. It was just like, she was a bonus. It's like, what? Something like that? I say something, not to objectify, but a creature so divine to go, what? They make you? Made. They made you? Good thing I said yes. I wasn't originally supposed to go, but I took a ride with my brother. I wasn't expecting that. And it was just, oh, hi. It's free. But then also at the same time, I had already started my entity, you know? So originally my intention was to infiltrate the company and see how far up the food chain I can climb in the shortest amount of time possible. And I swear to God, I ended that shit as the owner. Undercover boss. Hugo's undercover boss. Because I learned from the company that all you gotta do is, if you hold shares in the company, you're co-owner. Okay. But that was my plan anyway. I've already been stocking up on these shits. By the time I found that out, I got the corporate pamphlet. By the time I found that out, I already had like 15, 16. And mind you, that's not a lot. It was the principle. Because I went in there going, all right, for every one that I own more of Hugo Boss, which is a dream of mine. Because I want to sit in the CEO chair. Like I used to fucking pull the fucking CEO's picture up and I used to fucking mean mug that motherfucker. I'm coming for you. A couple times, because they have the pictures of the board in the back office, and like I would just sit and like, I just stare and contest the fuck out of those guys and see if I can tap into their soul from the other side of the picture. And I don't normally take advantage of black magic when I feel like it's wrong, but just something about that group of guys. I don't know. Just every time I think, like I'm pulling an image of them up in my mind, the board, and something tells me that they're not all on the up and up. I could be totally wrong. I don't know these guys' characters, but just something about them. It just kind of rubs me the wrong way. It could be a cultural difference. That could be a thing. It could just be their demeanors, because to embody the be your own boss mindset, like you gotta be tough to fucking deal with that place. Because everyone's the boss except for you. That's the thing. You have to recognize that. It's like everybody is the boss except for you. And that's like, that'll fuck your ego up. Big time. You know how many times I had to bite my tongue or just like sit there and take it? And in my head go, they're right. Fuck you, they're not right. I want to fucking destroy. They're right. Okay, fine, they're right. Ugh. I owe everybody an apology. I'm sorry, everybody. Sorry, Uncle Hugo. Sorry, Karen. Sorry, Frank. Sorry, Brian. I didn't mean to be a jerk and demand like fucking superstar fucking status just because I did a couple things over the course of fucking 6 months. But how you guys doing? But I have an ego that's the size of the sun. And it's full of a lot of hot air. Literally. I know, I get it. But at the same time, I saw it as me like living out my dream, because it wasn't about those guys. Like they were all really nice guys. Like everybody that worked there was really cool. I loved everybody that worked there. It's the poison that the entity itself injects into the people that makes me cringe, because it's not that anyone's bad. It's just like so depressing. I had this fucking dude, man. He was like my brother. Osteopolitis, arthritis, diabetes. The fucking poor guy was fucking so skinny, and his body didn't produce enough body heat because of anemia. So he had to sit in front of fucking these heaters. But he was my dude. He was there like, not every day. He couldn't be. He had his own shit to take care of. And I was very big on that with him. It's like, don't you ever fucking feel bad about none of this shit. Sometimes I would take the job really seriously and I would get on his ass about stupid shit because I was playing manager in my head. Because they were trying to sell me this job to run the store. But I wasn't willing to relocate to Lancaster. Not that I didn't like the place. That's a whole responsibility that completely takes me away from everything in my life, including my business, which is the most important business of all the businesses in all the universe and all the timelines and time zones. My business is the most important business because it's my business. And that's why I made my business my business. And what are people paying me for? They're paying me just to be myself. To not give a fuck. Not give a fuck, but not give a fuck about the looks, the stares, the glares, take that ring off. It's not corporate. That's not corporate enough. What? Or it's not. How does she put it? You should take that ring off because it's not It's not Hugo Boss. Meanwhile, you got Hamza. And Eye of Providence earrings. Everyone's got their own little fucking personal rings. I got a plastic ghost ring that was pimp as fuck because I found it. I found it the day after Halloween when my friend helped me through a really dark day. And it meant a lot to me. And then a friend of ours took a picture of us posing with it and she was wearing it. So I was like, the ring had meaning to it. Like, it's not here, and I lost it, but they used to bust my balls about that ring, and it pissed me off because it's like, this ring, I've had this ring longer than I've worked here. Like, I had one girl, she's like, take the ring off. I said, I'll take my ring off as soon as he takes his ring off. How about that? Oh, I was just joking around. Yeah, no, I know. I wasn't. Is that what you said? I believe so, yeah. I had to tell my one friend, you keep talking to me that way, I'm gonna get my ass right into a fucking lift, go to the fucking train station, go home, and then you can fucking deal with this shit all by yourself. Do not bark orders at me. And it's like, now the guys, I'm like, I let it go. Why? Because it actually does sting my ego. And that's a good thing. That's actually a really positive thing. Because having to allow, especially when it comes to another man, is like to allow another man to be more right than me, that's like, oh. And I think we're all like that. I think that might be just a guy thing. It's like, yo, this nigga better not be trying to tell me I'm wrong and he's right. I don't even give a fuck if he is right. But the thing I like about not doing that is like, builds up your tough skin. Because it's like most people, when people have honest feedback on you and your person and your life and the way you carry yourself, the way that you see the world, your religion, the way you dress, it's always things that you say to yourself, or things I say to myself. So it's like, oh, here we go again. But now it's actually coming out of someone else's mouth. So yeah, it's still cringy sounding. Like it feels like cringe. Like, oh, God, I don't want to hear that about me. But the more that it comes, it's like, oh, yeah. Give me more. Give me a little bit more. Oh my God, yes. It's like sex almost. But it lasts for a while. Because it gets into the rage. Because I remember my friend, he was actually giving me like really good advice, like seriously good advice, if it wasn't for me. But I got exactly what he was saying, because I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, in my head. Yes. But then I'm like, no, the fuck, are you blind? But then I have to remember, because I have to remind myself, like, you can't expect people to see what you see. Proving color to blind people. Go back to that. But that goes both ways. Because I don't know what he sees. And one, to even have a friend that's willing to actually tell you what they see, that's a friend. But like I said, that was like an incredibly educational experience because I never got to see what it's like behind the scenes in one of those places. I worked at a fucking Deb retail store for a couple months when I was like 19, but I didn't even count that. I mean, I could. No, but as I progressed through Hugo Boss, what just ended up happening was I started to gain more skills, just at a very accelerated rate. I was trained to do things that were like above and beyond what I really was being called to do. And people would say that's taking advantage. And yeah, of course it was. But you have to also recognize that I was taking advantage of the fact that I was giving myself up to be taken advantage of. I wasn't without benefit during this whole thing. Trust me. I got a lot out of that. Not just money. Like the money was what, $13 an hour when I first started. And then my second round after I quit and got rehired. They came to me. I didn't go to them. They came to me like fucking 3 or 4 days after I had an imaginary conversation right there with the regional manager, and they called me fucking 5 days later. I have it in my journals because I remember that day. I remember writing about that day too, going because that was actually part of the reason why I quit in the first place. Because I recognized that I wasn't being recognized as much as I believed I should be getting recognized, because that's just how I am. That's how I've always been. A lot of my depression and anxiety had to deal with the fact that I fucking hated this world because I was too good for it. So, like, when I see me, and this was even back when I was married to my ex-wife, it's like, when I see me, I smile. I mean, yeah, there was a lot of self-loathing that was behind that smile. But I've worked through it. That's what these last 5 years have been all about. That was a lot of part why. That was another reason why I wanted to take advantage of the whole Hugo Boss thing in the first place, was because I realized that it was an opportunity for me to actually put my shit to this test and actually see if all the fucking magic and witchcraft and theosophy, astrology, tarot cards, necromancy. I do work with dead people. Not in the fucking bad way. I do it in a helpful way. For them. I talk to them, I treat them like people. I give them what they're looking for. It's a fucking little bit of attention. And they talk back. I don't know. I don't fact check. I just go with it. Just fucking go with it, man. Just don't even, fuck it, just go with it. All right. At this last place in New Hampshire, I found a graveyard for the 1800s. I took an empty cigarette pack and I filled it with graveyard dirt and I sprinkled it around the hotel. And then fucking, I shit you not, there was a couple times afterwards, I fucking saw, like, they were there. Is this a glitch? Just like, what? I sprinkled that shit around my room because here's the thing, is we're now living in the fucking 2023s. These people died in the 1800s. They don't know what modern life is like. So what I did was I asked for permission to take some of the dirt with me, because that's not against the rules. You can ask for permission. And sometimes if people know that you can, I talk to dead people. I've been doing it for a really long time and they like me.